We're talking about a warrior, a scholar, the fourth caliph of the Muslim world. But the story of how Ali ibn Abi Talib came to power, well, it's not your typical succession story. It was actually forged in a moment of absolute world-shattering crisis. Okay, so picture this. It's the year 656. You've got this massive young Muslim empire that stretches all the way from India to Europe. And it's suddenly leaderless, totally adrift. The capital is just gripped by fear and anger. I mean, for the very first time, it feels like this whole world, built up over decades, could just shatter. And here's why. The third caliph, Uthman, has just been assassinated in his own home. So in the chaos that erupts, there's really only one question on everyone's mind. Who on earth could possibly step in and hold this all together? So let's really get into this. The caliphate, right? This huge empire led by the caliph, the prophet's successor, suddenly has this gaping power vacuum right at its heart. And look, this isn't just some political squabble. Without a leader everyone could rally behind, the risk of an all-out civil war was terrifyingly real. And in that moment of pure desperation, the people in the capital, Medina, all turned to one man, a guy who was literally raised in the Prophet Muhammad's house, the hero of their most famous battles. For them, he wasn't just an option, he was the only hope. His name? Ali ibn Abi Talib. So a group of leaders go to him, right? They try to offer him the caliphate in private, and Ali? He just flat out refuses. He knew that some backroom deal, especially in a time like this, would just cause more problems. He basically said, no way. My allegiance will not be secret. Gather everyone in the mosque. This had to be a public decision for everyone to see. And that right there, that's the whole point of this explainer. How did this one guy become the undisputed choice in such a desperate hour? To get that, we gotta rewind. We have to go all the way back to the beginning of his incredible life. You see, Ali's story isn't just connected to the Prophet Muhammad's. It literally starts inside his house. He wasn't just a cousin, family by blood. He was raised as a son, which created this incredibly deep and formative bond between them. And check this out. Look how early his path was set. When he's just 5 years old, the Prophet takes him in during a famine. By 10, he's one of the very first kids to accept Islam. Then at 13, and this is a huge moment, the Prophet asks his family for support and gets nothing but silence. And who stands up? A 13-year-old Ali, all alone, pledging his life to the mission. I mean, this all happened before he was even a teenager. It totally cemented his role right from the get-go. So you get it, right? Ali was the ultimate protege. And here's a little detail that I think makes this even more amazing. The Prophet himself couldn't read or write, but he personally made sure that Ali became literate and learned. Can you imagine? He was being mentored in faith, in wisdom, in leadership by the single most important person in his entire world. But Ali's training wasn't just about books and deep thoughts. It was also forged in fire. On the battlefield, he was about to earn a nickname that would echo through history. Asadullah, the Lion of God. Alright, so let's talk about his first real test, the Battle of Badr. Get this, the new Muslim community has, maybe 313 fighters, and they're up against a professional army from Mecca that's 3 times their size. The odds weren't just bad, they looked straight up impossible. So back then, battles often started with one-on-one duels. Mecca sends out its top champions. And who does the Prophet pick to face them? A 23-year-old Ali, among others. And it was just incredible. He steps forward and, in a stunning display of skill, takes out his opponent in moments. His courage just lit a fire under the Muslim army and completely shattered the enemy's confidence before the main fight even kicked off. And of course, his legend just kept growing. Case in point, the Siege of Khaybar. The Muslims are stuck for days. They just can't break through this super tough fortress. Then, the Prophet makes this amazing promise. He says, tomorrow, I'm going to give the banner to a man who loves God and his messenger, and who God and his messenger love. And victory, it's going to come through him. So the next day, you can just imagine every single warrior is hoping it's going to be them. But the Prophet calls for Ali. And Ali's not even in fighting shape. He has a really bad eye infection. But then, this miracle happens. The Prophet is said to have healed him right there. So banner in hand, Ali goes out, faces Khaybar's champion, this giant of a man named Marhab, and with his famous sword, Zulfikar, he strikes him down. Just like that, the fortress was theirs. This just goes to show you what a force he was. I mean, think about it. From that very first duel at Badr, To the end of his entire military career, people say Ali never lost a single one-on-one fight, or a single battle he personally commanded. The number of times he was defeated, a big, fat 0. But here's the thing, the Prophet always saw more than just a great warrior in Ali. He saw a successor, a man with incredible wisdom and judgment, and he didn't just hope for it, he actively prepared Ali for what was to come. A perfect example of this is when he sent Ali to Yemen, not as a soldier, but as a judge and an emissary. Ali was still young, and he actually told the Prophet he wasn't sure he could do it. So the Prophet just puts a hand on his chest and prays for God to guide him. And the mission? It was a massive success. The Lion of God didn't even need his sword. His words, his wisdom, they were so powerful that the whole region came to Islam, peacefully. And it wasn't just a one-off thing. Over and over again, the Prophet made these huge public statements that just solidified Ali's special status. And we're not talking about simple compliments here. These were foundational. He called Ali his brother. He tied Ali's authority directly to his own, saying things like, "Whoever's master I am, Ali is his master." He even said that loving Ali was a sign of a true believer. He was literally shaping how people would see Ali for generations. So now, let's bring it all back to that moment of pure chaos in the year 656. It all starts to make sense, doesn't it? The people of Medina didn't just randomly pick a name. They turned to the one man whose entire life was a public display of courage, of wisdom, and of this incredible closeness to the Prophet himself. He wasn't just an option, he was the answer they had been prepared for all along. And that kind of leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? When you look at Ali's life, it almost feels like this long, drawn-out preparation for one single critical moment. And it makes you wonder, is leadership just a title someone gives you? Or is it something you build piece by piece, day by day, until that moment of crisis finally hits and everyone else can finally see what was there all along?